we will have Dr. Mata Jain also joining us. She'll talk about the capabilities that we are going to utilize during this conference for live web streaming, and then we'll open for a roundtable discussion and way forward as to where we go from here, and then we will wrap up with dinner and next steps. As you all know, this is our, the first intimate meeting happened last year. Then we had a follow-up meeting in January where some of you were present. We heard you, we had finalized the venue, and we have confirmed the Trident Nariman Point as the conference venue. We will get into this, but primarily, if you look at the objectives of API, focused on harnessing the power of Indian physicians from all over the world, collaborating and ensuring that we made quality healthcare affordable and accessible to all people. And we do that with help of people like yourself in this room. Without that, it will not be possible. We have a track record of learning from our mistakes and getting better every year. We started on this journey in 2008 in a small room where people said, all these doctors from India that are in the United States have the passion of giving back something to the former homeland. You saw the spirit, the mission and the spirit, the guiding mission, the spirit of API, which leads them to do all these, go for these achievements. And as you see on the slide, there is a number of them, and I won't go into detail to everyone, but let me focus on a few which I think is important. When we talk about leveraging the power of Indian physicians worldwide, we are not talking about the physicians outside. We are talking about the people in this room. Global, in that global healthcare, is we get these specialists and the authorities on those issues from a global, a bank of global persons. Few examples of what API has done. One is the smoking cessation in public places. In this, where API has brought some tremendous value there, is where we've been able to influence policy at a national level. And beforehand, this did not exist. But after we had number of discourses at various levels, health department and others, it's become a law now, and that's how you influence a large number of persons at one given time. The Sevak program is really noteworthy. It's Dr. Thakur Patel. The principle of this was he has a person of high school, a local person from high school, who goes out in the village and actually notes down all the details. Now, why this becomes important, in that little community, that young man or woman is known to everyone, and it's much easier for them to get more statistics and data than you would have if you just hired some agency to come and do it from outside.
Thanks, Ravi. I think what we have done is another aspect of collaboration and partnership. One of the things that we have successfully achieved is engaging the healthcare CEOs. We conducted the CEO forum. That was the first time we did it in Hyderabad, then we did it in Cochin, and then we did it in Ahmedabad. And along the way, what we found is that there was a hospital CEO forum and a healthcare CEO forum, which created a platform for voicing your concerns in an atmosphere that was free. That was people that engaged in that platform were the Director General of Health Services, Secretary of Health Services, both from the union and the state level.
Where do we see our country in next 10, 15, 20 years? All of us are in our respective fields contributing to the healthcare of this nation. And somewhere along the line, take a pause, take a step back and realize that where do we want to see this country in 20 years? We have a stake here. I remember growing up in Gujarat and working in villages of Kheda district in the Amul environment of National Dairy Development Board. And remember those days I'm a veterinarian by education and by practice. So I used to practice in the rural areas of Gujarat. And I remember in those early days of sometime mid 70s and early 80s that animals were getting better treatment than human beings in those villages, because Amul had put together a system by which any farmer, if he had any problems in the remote areas of Gujarat, those days there were no mobile phones, and all that one could do was to have some means of communication, which was a wireless kind of setup, which could go to the headquarters in Anand, and we were able to provide emergency medical services to a farmer who had just one cow or a buffalo. And we used to relieve dystocia in a difficult birth in the cows or buffaloes, which human beings could not get in those remote areas.
Access to affordable and quality medicines would always remain an issue not only for India but also for the United States. And why I'm saying this? Though US FDA says, based on the data available as of, I would say, a year-old data, that India is the second largest supplier of medicine to the USA from outside USA, Canada being the first. Probably India has already overtaken Canada and is the top supplier of medicines to the USA. 40% of generics prescribed in the USA by volume comes from India. And this is what has made change in terms of affordability of healthcare within the United States. Now, so if I were to summarize in 2 points where IPA is looking forward to: one, building and promoting this strategic relationship between the two countries and where IPA can play a key role; and second, a mischievous campaign that is going on in the US to discredit products coming from India, which are all certified and approved by US FDA. This is where IPA would look forward to API in restoring credibility of and the quality of the products coming from India.
As I am a member of Maharashtra, I am very happy to be associated with the AAPI. And of course, we have some of the faculty members here, Dr. Hemant Thakkar, Dr. Jayant Barve, and many others who will be taking part in our activities. A small thing about IMA Maharashtra, which is one of the largest members states branches. We have 195 branches in Maharashtra, naming very small places like maybe Hingoli or Nandurbar or many places you may not have heard, but we have IMA doctors there. And as I had mentioned in our last meeting that web streaming, of course, it is very nice that you have taken up. Another issue which we would definitely request to take up some projects in the rural areas. What I see in the presentation by Dr. Ravi is a lot of things about the cardiology and other things. But one of the major issues we have in our rural areas is vector. This is a WHO's theme of vector-borne diseases this year. And this will have to be tackled, and which we find a lot of problems in the rural areas.
Anwar, Ravi, on a Saturday evening, not even Narendra Modi or Rahul Gandhi, for that matter Priyanka, can get so many satraps of healthcare, whether it's pharmaceutical organizations, whether there's OPPI, whether there's doctors. So I'm quite impressed for a Saturday evening, and that too in the holiday season of Bombay. In fact, after listening to Shailesh, I felt that anybody who works in the interior in the younger years of Gujarat goes on to become president, and I'm sure Modi will go on to become prime minister. Now, coming back to this admirable, challenging, but definitely doable agenda, I think this is not only going to be a receive, but it's going to be a give and take. What you showed in the video, one of the American Heart Association doctors saying, if we have a lot to learn from you people about the newer advances, I'm sure my American colleagues would like to know a little more about malaria, amoebiasis, dengue, and things like that. For that matter, when we speak on metabolic topics like diabetes, which is much more in India, I think the Westerners would like to listen to it. Now, whether they are Westerners of Indian origin or otherwise, provided one remembers that you can take an Indian away from India, but you can't whitewash the Indian genes away from him. And enough studies, whether hypertension, cholesterol, or diabetes, have shown that third generation Indians who have migrated to Canada and India and USA.
India is today facing an onslaught of non-communicable diseases, and that's why the Ministry of Health has a focus on 4 diseases: cancer, diabetes, hypertension and stroke, and all of them are the common lifestyle. So just as diabetes and hypertension have one particular lifestyle, that is also responsible for oncology. And in fact, India has contributed the largest number of patients for oncology clinical trials, which were responsible for pivotal data that was used for marketing approval. And I think we have access to more molecules than is currently available in the United States. Last year at ASCO, which is the largest oncology conference in the world, there were 35,000 delegates, and the plenary session had a speaker from Tata Memorial Hospital in India demonstrating how $1 per investigation for cervical cancer screening is able to save lives. And that is how ASCO has said that this is so important that it should be part of the plenary session, and it got a standing ovation. Never in the last 15 years that I have attended ASCO have I seen a standing ovation in a plenary session.
In the morning, I spent some time with Anwar and Ravi and Seema and Sanjay. And the idea of web streaming is a great idea. It will help us to build the capability. The second idea which they have been talking about is mentorship. Indian doctors, if they want to get mentors in the US, it is a great, great idea. And Anwar and Ravi, if we can get that idea forward, it will be a great kind of thing. The third idea, which is very, very important, is I remember in the Access seminar, when we were discussing, all the government officials were there. Jiten Prasad was there, and Nair was there. And some of the things which we were talking, in fact, we were just not talking, they took it forward. And the simple thing which we were talking is, can we make health as part of the higher secondary syllabus? And prevention of healthcare is very, very important. And Shailesh and DG, what they did is, in the high school's curriculum, prevention becomes very, very important. Some of the health tips, how to take care of health, becomes very, very important. So as an outcome of this, Jiten Prasad said that he will work with Government of India and do what can be taken forward. Maharashtra is a great state. Most of the healthcare companies are in Bombay. It is a great opportunity for all the healthcare companies work together with all stakeholders like doctors. And if we can make Maharashtra as a model state to take it forward, Ravi, it will be a great kind of thing. So when there is a formation of government and we are very, very clear, it will be great to work with the stakeholders. In fact, the biggest role which the government can play in healthcare, and they are looking forward, because Jagdish Saraiya, who is the Chief Secretary of Maharashtra government, I happened to meet him last week. He said, why can't industry and we work together to take it forward, the whole healthcare agenda?
Folks, what we will do now is I'll open it up for your comments and thoughts, and how and what else we could be doing. You have had a look. I'll bring the slide back to the agenda slide so that you have a view of this. And so it's audience participation time.
Just one question, because we work in hospitals, and one common thing that we are hearing all across in India, that antibiotic resistance, I think it is reaching proportions in India which is going to be extraordinarily difficult to manage as we move forward. I think it's a global concern too. I was just wondering that on one hand we are talking about addressing the whole issue of access, and the other hand we have this antibiotic resistance as a major challenge in front of the government of India. So is that a kind of a topic which we should start touching through the API forum and the platform?
Including 20 stakeholders, so all the therapeutic areas, societies, plus all the government organizations involved in that. We had a meeting in Chennai, and that was published as what is known as the Chennai Declaration. And that has now become a reference document globally. And now, based on that Chennai declaration, we are now bringing out a one-page roadmap for the future for each of the therapeutic areas. So exactly what was suggested is actually being implemented as we speak today.
In fact, the API textbook of medicine published this year has a chapter on antibiotic stewardship, which has been written by me. And I fully endorse Purvish that this is now a matter of passing the baton on to the satellite and the smaller cities and towns, because the stakeholders definitely have realized it. But practicing it, adopting it, coercing people without forcing them is something which is important. And I think this is a very good idea that if we are to look forward, maybe we could put this somewhere in, I don't mind putting it in lifestyle, because it's still, you have patients coming in, look, I have a presentation, I have to take a flight, give me the heaviest antibiotic that is available, but I need to go. So Jayant has a point.
I think I'm a very practical clinician who deals with these problems every day. If you ask me, the root of this comes from ICCUs, And ICCUs and writing of prescription, unfortunately, I am in the wrong forum to say that, is being very strongly driven by market forces. They should do introspection and tell us about the guidelines. That is where the whole issue starts. What Hemant says is also absolutely right. It starts at the top in ICU of Lilavati or Jaslok. Those same doctors who are going to practice outside, and then it's a tsunami effect, It just goes all over the country within 10 years. Every appendix gets meropenem and lands into problem. And then they start with colistin, and then they start with something else. We are to be blamed, and also pharma company as well, because there are tremendous market forces which drive this market particularly. Let's be very honest about it, I thought I must give my fair opinion, because I feel I have been trying to say this for a very long time. I got an opportunity to say that, maybe in the wrong forum, but I must be truthful to myself at least.
The very purpose of Schedule H1 is to see that the misuse of antibiotics, which is happening in our country, can be controlled. As many of you have rightly said, that today drug resistance is a major issue. As Dr. Lele pointed out, that through API, can we reach to those 185 centers and can train our doctors into how to use antibiotics, when to use antibiotics, and which antibiotics to be used.
Right.
Because in our country, if you see day in and day out, not only industry, but doctors are also switching their gears towards lifestyle disorders. They are trying to learn more on hypertension, diabetes, metabolic disorders. But when it comes to infectious disease, there is a lot of need to be done, lot of things to be done. Because definitely, as he has rightly said, that industry has pushed a lot of higher antibiotics.
If API can have a session with ICU in charge in this country, I am sure that will really go a long way down. I am absolutely sure about that.
Wonderful, thank you. I think...
Let me give you some
yeah, go ahead.
light on that. I'm Dr. Sanjay Jain. I'm practicing internal medicine in the US. And the way this study is saying is antibiotic resistance is a problem. You have a lot of VRD and much of infection. But how we can do it? API has on the agenda to start the disease fellowship in India, and they're working on it. That is starting from one point. I think what we do is in each hospital there is antibiogram. Antibiotics which should be used, what is resistance in your hospital, in your community. That's how they can change it and accordingly work it. Third thing is that going with the culture more aggressively and doing the antibiotic and the post antibiotic, what is left behind. So these are the common things which are doing there, which can be helpful for a lot of the doctors and the group. API can start an initiative, which I'll leave it to our president.
The expectation of patients also when they go to a physician to get a prescription, if they come and you don't give a prescription, they don't think as highly of you. They think that you just don't know what to do. That's the way perception carried here. The second reason the antibiotics are important is because they will affect a big sector. It's called medical tourism. A lot of these are replacements, total hip, total knees that come in, or neurosurgical procedures. And it's important to have the infection control policies. And those are another aspect where API these are our plans to move into over the next few years. So we are quite aware of that.
We are able to control to a great extent what our employees do, but we also work with a multitude of business partners, distributors across the country, and it's not really feasible to control how these people work, particularly if there is a prevalence of corrupt practices that are ongoing. So our was, would RP be able to bring together some of the industry companies and maybe come up with a code of conduct for business practices encompassing company personnel but also distributors. And if we could actually put this group together, work along with RP in the next several months to come up with this code of conduct and actually release it perhaps during this Global Health Summit, that I think could make a good beginning towards addressing this problem in India.
I really request RP to get involved in control of tuberculosis also, because in about a month ago, I think 2-3 doctors got an resistant type of tuberculosis in Shivri TB hospital. You must be aware of it.
After we vet them, and we will prioritize them based on, the needs. And the beauty is that this is not a one-year affair now. Now we are committed, and with Dr. Seema Jain following, we have the opportunity and potential to carry this forward to the next year and the year after.
I actually asked, I said, okay, so you're going to have this event, and what will be the outcome? So what will happen, what will be different after the event than was before the event? And, he told me then about some of the impact that has been created, the cessation of smoking, other things. And I would like to suggest that we be prepared and ask. So, if we have government, we have others. So, some asks, and I'm just talking in the top of my head, there could be other thoughts, could be like, should healthcare be a priority area? In this country, infrastructure is priority, education is priority, why not healthcare? This is sort of a commitment we could seek from government. Alternatively, we can say, can we have a commitment for an increase in the budget? Spend on healthcare is really low. And and the reason I'm saying this is because at the end of such an August gathering, if a lot of people put their signature or, a white paper emerges from this, it carries a lot of weight. And then if this white paper is put on the table of the new, whether it's the Prime Minister or the Health Minister or whatever, I think it's a sort of pinning someone down to make a commitment, and these events like this I think are perfect for it. If for that matter, it could be the code of conduct we were just hearing about, because we've been talking to government about a code of conduct, and they said there's a voluntary code. Of course, this was the pharma industry, but then could this be something which again gets a commitment of government? Because I think there are so many stakeholders. We need holistic solutions, but clearly government has to lead the way. They cannot abdicate. So what is it that we can do to pin them down? And it's just a thought from me. Thank you.
Well, you know what, this has really raised the bar for 2016, all the discussion I'm hearing. So the number one I really liked about this part, actually, we always have the plenary sessions, what we are discussing right now, cardiology, diabetes, we really need to focus on. But at the same time, tuberculosis, it is coming back. It's the same thing in America. Same thing in US, we are finding there's a resurgence of non-treatable tuberculosis, resistant tuberculosis. So I think that's something we should think about and work on.
Ranjana, just to answer that point, the government, in the government, we have had an excellent experience with, I don't like to use bureaucrats because it kind of denotes some dull persons. You couldn't be further away from the truth. These IAS officers and all are so bright and sharp, and they're the ones who will get things done. So our experience has been very good, and that's one of the reasons I think we were able to achieve even a little bit what we have,
One thing which I also would put forward is the code of conduct, which has just been implemented about a year back in our country. I'm sure API as an association can also make that code of conduct far more strong in terms of taking it forward, because I believe that itself bring about a lot of discipline in all these areas we have discussed today, in terms of pinning down a lot of things which are currently becoming a kind of tsunami, be it usage of antibiotics or be it usage of any kind of medicine in our country. So I'm sure this code of conduct, which has just been implemented about a year back, if that can be further strengthened with the help of various associations sitting here, and of course in collaboration with the pharma industry and the doctors, I'm sure it's going to be a great step forward for all of us.
One of the things I want to say is that, we will have about 300 or so delegates from overseas. They are giving their time. They will be on their own, registration and everything else. In addition, we will have some of the best faculty from overseas, which, API, and they will be volunteering their time to make their commitment to India possible. We also would need the support from people in the room. We would need support from the industry partners. We would need your collaboration and your sponsorship to make this a reality. So that is what we will be asking of you and your help and support. So I'm going to now hand it over to Ravi.
No, just briefly, I just want to thank all of you for taking your precious time to come here. And like he said, you're the torch bearer, as you go out and spread this word, as to what we plan to do. It's to be planned together. Two more points. One is housekeeping. We do have the cameraman and an interviewer coming around as we have the dinner. He will be interviewing you. And just so that you don't lose your appetite, I'll tell you what he's going to ask you. The standard one, the name, designation, and the organization you represent. And he will ask you only 2 questions, so you have a little time to prepare. One is, what opportunities do you see from a forum like Global Health Summit 2015? And number 2 is, what role do you see your leadership and organization in supporting Global Health Summit 2015? Last of all, I just wanted to have Dr. Seema Jain come up. She is very passionate about women's issues, and of course, she's going to do the 2016, and I'd let her speak on this.
Thanks, Ravi. Well, as I said, the bar for 2016 is really raised by all the discussion what we had here. And we know that India is really the powerhouse for pharma companies. And as Dr. DG said, that it is the largest medicine provider after Canada. And we really want to see it the first, number 1. And I'm sure it is going to be soon. One thing I really wanted to discuss is what Hemant had brought up, Lifestyle 1 and Lifestyle 2 changes. I really like that idea. Maybe we can do the cardiometabolic side, Lifestyle 1, and Lifestyle 2, what we talked about, infectious, and then we can bring up some of the things what you think will be focused on in the 2016 discussion. And what we were discussing about is that the CME, what you all are talking about, the webinar. In America, we have the Medscape. I'm thinking, why don't we do something for 2016 that every physician has access to do the CME right on the computer itself? You do the webinar, but at the same time, if you can do it right from your home, just like what we have there, Medscape we call it, and we do all our CME seminars on it. So I think that's something to work on, especially as India is number 1 IT, frankly speaking. So we should think about that for 2016 and get it rolling there. One more thing is just what Ravi had said about women's health issues. Yes, that's a big passion for me. I really would like to work on that. The maternal and infant mortality has not changed much, what I see over the years. So that is something to think about. I like the thing about somebody had brought up to save the girl child. I think that's something to really think about and work on. So these are my main focus things, what I would like to work in 2016. But again, the forum is open to you all. You can give the suggestions. And in 2015, when Ravi does it, we can bring it in focus. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. And I think that brings us to an end of the formal interaction. But the real work begins now. So before we get into it, let me invite you to join us for some cocktails and dinner. And we will continue the conversation, and we will follow up with the notes from this meeting. We'll circulate it to all of you, and we will continue the conversation forward. So thanks again for being here. Appreciate your support.